One of our biggest brands are Ford. So what I'm gonna do is tell you the best deals that we're personally negotiating on Ford over the last 30 days. I'm not gonna use fancy words like invoice, minus holdback, or tell you to ask for floor plan assistance. I'm gonna give you real-time data. So when you're negotiating your next Ford, you know what kind of discounts to expect. So first off, let's start off about the Ford Mustang. First off, if you're buying a Mustang, just get the V8. Go get the GT. Don't get the EcoBoost. I understand. The EcoBoost has plenty of power. Come on, it's a Mustang. Now, discounts are very similar if it's an Eco or if it's a GT, but $4,000 to $5,000 is what you should be expecting on basically every single model on the Mustang. If you're getting anything less, you're doing something wrong. And now remember, anytime I'm talking about these discounts on the car, you have to remember that we are talking about no add-ons, no accessories. Next vehicle on the list is going to be the Ford Escape. Honestly, guys, I'm going to tell you, I just don't think the Ford Escape is worth its money. I understand some people like it, but there's a lot of better SUVs out there. So if you're looking at a Ford or Escape, unless you're really just like the American car, go buy something else. But if we're looking at a Ford Escape, 10% all day without even thinking about it is what you should be getting. But again, go buy a Mazda. It's a better car. Go buy Toyota. Go buy a Subaru. Go buy anything. It's a better vehicle. And the price point isn't that much better. Next vehicle on the list is going to be a Ford Bronco Sport. The Bronco, for people who can't get the real Bronco, I get it. It's a really cool vehicle if you don't want to pay Bronco pricing. Now on this car, over 10% is what I've seen. I've seen deals all the way up to 15% off these cars. These cars are struggling to be sold. Ford is sitting them on their lots and saying, I beg you to take them. So I want you to shoot for the moon for this one. I want you to go back and forth and really pin some dealerships against each other, but 10 to 12% is definitely something that's very attainable. Now for the big boy Ford Bronco 4x4. Now first off, there was a huge thing that went around social media of this thing failing every single crash test there is. First off, AI generated content is crazy. Ford Bronco didn't crush like a little balloon when it did its test. It's a rugged car. It's good. Honestly, I would say it is one of the best off-roady SUVs on the market if you like that kind of thing. Like if you're like, I want to buy a Jeep Wrangler, but I understand Jeep doesn't make quality anymore, I think the Ford Bronco is like your best alternative. You could go Land Cruiser, of course, but I think Ford Bronco gives you a lot of the things that people are looking for on that or in that off-roady vehicle. Now, depending on where you are in the United States, the deals can vary, but 10% is attainable most of the United States. If you're in this little area called the Pacific Northwest, life's a little rough for you. Everything's more expensive in Seattle. Sleepless in Seattle, I call about it. The deals will make you lose sleep in Seattle because you're probably going to get close to 7% there. It's not worth it to ship something 10% out. The 4Runner is also another option you could do as an alternative to a Bronco, but the new 4Runner, we don't know. We don't know. It's not coming out till January, so it's kind of one of those things where hit and miss, but 10% is what you should be able to achieve all day. Ford Explorer. Now, the Ford Explorer can really get split up into two different vehicles. It's very, very important to know. First off is the Ford Explorer, and then the ST. Now, Ford, with all its wisdom, said, not only are we going to make a ST, but we're also going to make an ST line. Come on, Ford. Let's do a little bit better with your naming. But Ford Explorer, and then just the ST, the one that goes zoom, zoom really fast. 10% on both. The ST is, though, harder to negotiate on, but you should be able to get about 10% on all these cars. The Ford ST, if you were able to get 7%, you're doing good, but you can, if you really push it out, get up to 10%. It's so they can confuse you on which ones go zoom, zoom. Correct. You buy the ST line thinking you go zoom, zoom, and guess what? You're not going zoom, zoom. Now, the Ford Edge. Guys, let's be real. Nobody's buying this. You might not even have known this car exists. You might say the Ford Edge is still there. It is. It seats 5, gets 28 miles to the gallon, and it's super unreliable. Now, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 off. There's still Edges out there, though. Yes, they're not making them anymore. They just stopped making them in 2024, but they're still out there. You should be able to get like 8 to 10 grand off. And, you know, sometimes you do a buy one, get one free. If there's any car that's up for it, it's going to be one of these. Honestly, we should just do a video to see if you can buy a Ford Edge. Don't worry, we're going to get to every car. Now, the Ford Mach-E. I'm going to say some bold things right now. I think the Mach-E is one of the best quality EVs on the market. I think they look good. If you look at the pictures of this car, I think it looks good. I think the second you understand it's not a Mustang, they just need to take the word Mustang out of there. That's silly. Just put Ford Mach-E, because nobody even calls it a Ford Mustang Mach-E. They just say a Mach-E. It's just a Mach-E. It's a Mach-E. Change the name. So it's the Ford Mach-E. That's what we're going to call it. Everybody from now on, we're a Ford Mach-E. You should be able to get on this car 10% off plus rebate. So if there's a $7,500 rebate, by all means, guess what? You get 10% plus rebates. This car leases really well. I've seen leases for a Mach-E Premium are like $399 with just taxes down. It's insanity. This deal, awesome. It's incredible. Would recommend it to your friends and family, all your moms. I think it's good. I think it's a fun EV. If you're looking for an EV, I think it's higher quality and it doesn't look like an EV. I do like this vehicle quite a bit. You can get the GT, the Mach-E, and the Performance Edition. All really good deals. I've never done a deal on a Raleigh, though. So a Raleigh, North Carolina. So overall, good vehicle, 320 miles per range. You can get the premium with the extended pack, get a really good deal there. They have that extended roof. The only thing I don't really love about them is that big screen that everybody's going for. It just think they're a little bit weird. I think everybody tried to copy Tesla, call it a day. I don't know if I love it. Next here on the SUV front is the Ford Expeditions. Now, these Expeditions are getting changed up in 2025, and as they get changed up, deals are going to get better and better. But right now, I'm looking at least 10% off on basically every Expedition deal we do. Normally, I have a range. You guys will see that 7 to 10% off MSRP. You guys can see that I'm saying pretty firm at 10% because I feel like that is what I'm getting on almost all of these. I think you could fight a little bit more on this car, depending on the availability. I think you can get 10%. I think you can get 10%. YouTube, you got 100. Here's another one for you, YouTube. Here you go. Yeah, you guys can mail in a rebate form if you guys need to. But I will say with the Expedition, I do think this car is a pretty darn good car for what it is. Especially when this gets redesigned, I think it'll be even better. But I think for the value, it's actually a really good value right now. Boom. Let's go to trucks. Everybody wants to know about the trucks. Let's go into them. First off, the Ford Maverick, really good value. There's two different deals that you can see depending on the type of Maverick. There's a normal Maverick and there is a hybrid Maverick. Now, realistically, it's $1,000 to $2,000 is the discount that I've been seeing on Mavericks, and you can get all the way up to $3,000 if you're getting a non-hybrid. So 1 to 2 is normal range. Not a lot of markup in the world's smallest pickup truck. I don't actually know if it's the world's smallest pickup truck, but it's a small pickup. It's a good truck. It does it point A to point B. One of the most affordable ones on the market. We're going to go into the Ford Ranger. Honestly, it's the truck that nobody's buying because you have the small truck and you got the big truck, and they were like, you know, sometimes in life, I know you want Mama Bear, you want Papa Bear, and then you want Baby Bear. But I'm sorry, Mama Bear, you just don't got a place in Ford's lineup because the Ford Ranger just confuses people. It's just a little bit bigger than a Maverick. It's a little bit smaller than an F-150. Sorry. It's the middle child that nobody really likes, but it has to be here. So the Ford Ranger, like a few grand off. I don't do many of these because nobody's buying them. You might be able to get more. I mean, you might be able to get more than 10% off. Moving on to the next truck, we got the Ford F-150. Now, the Ford F-150, we have to have a little bit of a conversation on because depending on the F-150, the deal is going to change. So first off, the options that we're going to have, right? Gas, hybrid, Raptor, Raptor R. There's no discounts on these cars. These cars sell so great that everybody should pay MSRP. So first off, if you're buying an F-150 gas model, 10% off. 10% off. 7 to 10% depending on, but 10% pretty consistent. With a Ford hybrid, 10 to 12% off. The hybrid, you can go a little bit more off. This is also plus rebates, guys. Plus rebates. That 10% is pretty consistent, but I've seen some of these hybrids still go above 10%. Now, if you're looking at a Raptor, there are some dealerships that like to say, you know what? Above MSRP on that car. I'm sorry, the Raptor doesn't deserve above MSRP. Don't worry, we're going to get there, but the Raptor does. The consistent discount I'm seeing on the Ford Raptor, depending on how available, is going to be $2,000 to $4,500 off. $2,000 to $4,500 off is the discount I'm saying. I'm not saying percentage. Bro, who's giving off 10% off plus rebates? Literally every Ford F-150 deal I've done. Also, we're talking about 7 to 10%. Something you got to note. If you're in Florida, a lot of people don't know this. Life hack. The documentation fees are higher in Florida compared to California. So your discount might be closer to 10% there. It's closer to 7% in Cali. So know that difference. So Raptor R, $2,000 to $4,500 off. Now, the elusive Raptor R. Roar! Ford Raptor. Roar! The best deals I've seen is $10,000 above MSRP. I'm sorry. The best deal that I've seen, and I think if you get it, you take it. $10,000 above MSRP. 15,000 above MSRP is a good deal as well. So if we go great deal 10,000, good deal 15, anything else you shouldn't pay. Now, if there are some dealerships, you can put your name on a wait list, wait 7 years, and you can get one at MSRP 7 years later. Long game. If you paid 122 months ago, that's an unreal deal. It's an unreal deal. It's good, that's great, and then there's unreal. You got the unreal deal. I've yet to see one go for MSRP unless somebody's been on a wait list for 17 years. Now we've got the F-150, but some people want Super Duty. They want the big, the bad, the dually. I need 6 wheels. I don't need 4. I get it. Some people are towing a trailer. Some people are towing a camper. I'm going to tell you guys, because I know a lot of people want me to get in the boxing ring and fight. I'm not afraid to say I'm not a manly man. And by that, I don't know how to back up a trailer. If we're putting a boat in the river, you don't ask Tommy to drive. I'm sorry. I haven't had to do it. I don't know how to do it. And it's me. So you guys this is your moment to roast me. I can't do it. I can't back the dang trailer. I understand you do the reverse. And I bet if somebody else was figuring it out, it's fine. But I'll have to pay somebody to drive it and put it in there. That's fine. You guys all get to roasted me. I told you guys something I didn't even have to tell you. But sometimes I want to give you a little bit. Because when you're on top, sometimes you feel unstoppable. And I need people to say, you know what, Tommy, it's okay. So the discount on the Super Duties. If you're looking for a Super Duty, you're getting 10%. 10% is pretty consistent. 10%. Let's go into the Transit here. Now the Transit, all over the place. And there are so many Transits. And honestly, I'm talking to the few business owners that want this because mom's not buying a Transit for her kid. 5 to 14 grand. Call me. There's so many ranges of depending on if you get one with windows, without windows, high roof, mid roof, low roof, does it have equipment in it? 5 to 15 grand. It's somewhere in that ballpark. I just don't have a good answer right now, but 5 to 15 grand is what I'm seeing. But realistically, somewhere in the middle. Now, I do want to have a conversation about this car, the E-Transit. If you guys don't know, Ford said, I'm going to buy an EV Transit. But because Ford was like, I want to appeal to the people and make it affordable, I'm going to make it have a 159-mile range in most optimal conditions possible. So realistically, if it's raining or if it's under 60 degrees, you're probably getting 120 range. I'm taking shots. And the reason why I'm taking shots is there's a social media clip of me out there where I'm negotiating one of these cars with a manager. Now, if you guys want to know what you can get off this, the options are through the roof. I would say realistically, you should be able to get 20 grand off, 25 grand off, 20 grand, 25 grand. Something ask for the moon and back and you'll probably get it because the dealership doesn't want to have these cars. Now, I was negotiating a video with a manager and that manager told me, because he couldn't sell his, because he's had it on his lot for over a year, saying, Tommy, please take this thing off my lot. I'm paying any salesperson $1,000 bounty to sell this car. That's how crazy I'm trying to get rid of it. And I got roasted in the chat because I said, give the $1,000 off to my client. There's no salesperson involved in this. They didn't do their job. They didn't commit their bounty. And people said I was stealing commission. I'm sorry, but if you get, this is just my thing. If your sales manager puts a bounty on a car and you aren't selling it, you don't deserve, and you didn't actually do the work to convince somebody to buy it, you don't deserve the bounty. That would be, you guys remember when the Saints had a bounty program where if you hit somebody really hard, you injured them, right? Horrible program. But imagine they had a bounty on Tom Brady. And Tom Brady, he went to go drop back and he twisted his ankle. And the bounty was $50,000. And then somebody goes up and says, I touched him, I sacked him, I broke his leg. He just twisted his ankle on his own. You don't deserve the bounty. You don't get paid the $50,000. You have to go and sell it. You got to go and do the things. You got to go and do the things. You got to go and sack Tom Brady for the bounty. We're going to go down to the Ford F-150 Lightning. You know what? There's some trucks I like, some trucks I hate. And the Ford Lightning, somewhere in the middle. It has its purpose. I get it. Here's some things we got to talk about with this truck that are really important. First off, as of right now, because right now how the current presidential world lives and Trump is not in office, and we'll see how things change, but there is a $7,500 rebate on this car. Now, this could go away. I don't know. I'm not Mr. Trump, and I don't think anybody knows Mr. Trump better than Mr. Trump, and he might change this tomorrow. He might change it today. I'm not into politics. I don't really care. But no, the $7,500 rebate might be going away. That being said, if the Ford F-150 is below $75,000, you can get plus $7,500 off. So you want to be strategic to get the best lightning deal because you want to find one 75 grand or below. If you find one at 75,092, you don't get the 7,500. If you find one at 74,999, and this is the MSRP of the car, not the discount, this is important. You have to know the importance. You get the discount. So the discount on the car itself, doesn't matter if it's 0%, doesn't matter if it's a rebate, 10%. 7% on some of the trims, but let's just say 7 to 10% on that one. 7 to 10% on the Ford Lightning plus the rebate.